So last night I watched James Gunn's new Superman movie, and I thought this was a really solid movie. I don't think it's like my favorite Superman movie, and I'm definitely not saying Man of Steel is my favorite Superman movie, because hell nah. This movie, like, genuinely is just, it's better. There's not a single movie in the DCEU that was better than this. And the only thing that I think even comes close is James Gunn's Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, which honestly I would say I like Peacemaker better as a show, or just a piece of media in general. But regardless, funny enough, both of those things are from James Gunn. And I know I might get comments because the Snyder cultists on Twitter were bashing this movie before it even came out, and overall that fan base is just literally like a rabid pack of raccoons. Yeah, I don't really care. The people that like, if you watched this scene and thought this was some deep character study, emotional moment that really hits, yeah, I don't know, bro. Me and you just like different things. But I did have I'm gonna start off this video by talking a little bit about my problems with the movie. First things first, overall I thought Lex was really good, like, in the ending of the movie, but my only issue, and I don't even know, it's not even really a big issue. I just wish they would have, focused more on the element of, like, Lex's inferiority complex or superiority complex. Like, he has to be better than Superman, and he doesn't like that. Superman just comes in one day, the whole world idolizes him and, like, looks at him like some god. Meanwhile, he's been working hard his whole life to, prove and put himself up there in the names with the greats. But he doesn't even like being up there with the greats. He likes to be his own thing. Like, he mentions, like, very famous smart people like Einstein, he'd be like, he's disgusted to be even mentioned in the same conversation as them because he's so much better. All that stuff, and like the difference between him and Superman, like Superman is more human. That's basically what this whole movie is exploring with Superman's character, how he's struggling to balance the like what he wants to do as Superman, what his ideals are versus what the world wants from him, and the expectations that his parents put onto him. And I really like that the scene where he goes back to his parents' house and he has that conversation with his dad where he's telling him, your parents don't tell you what to do in life. They give you the steps to guide you, for you to make the mistakes and make a fool out of yourself on your own. That was probably one of my favorite moments in the movie. That was really good. And then when Superman confronts Lex at his tower and he has that speech about him being human and how he just tries. He's just trying to do the right thing. All that stuff is just like super good. I love that stuff. And like him and Lex are just like the complete opposites for one another. Like Lex cares about nobody but himself. He has a superiority complex. He has no regard for human life. Like they're just the complete opposites of one another. And mind you, I haven't read any Superman comics, I'm not gonna lie to you. The only thing Superman related that I've really indulged in is Superman and Lois, some of the animated content, which is based off comics anyway. So that's where my idea of Superman comes from. And from what I've seen, I think he's generally really well represented in the movie. But Let me get back on track here, because I do want to talk about what I didn't like necessarily with Lex, and it's kind of my only other issue with the movie, second issue, because there's one part of the movie that just made me uncomfortable, which I'll explain it in a sec. But I think my biggest issue with this movie is, for a big chunk of the runtime, it's not necessarily focused really on character stuff. Maybe not a big chunk of the runtime, but there's like a solid, decent amount of scenes where it's just kind of action, and there's not much character stuff. It's more just, I guess, plot progression, like kind of just little eensy boring stuff, I feel like. Like, there's just a couple parts of the movie where I was just sitting there like, I don't know, can we move on? Like the big fight in Metropolis with the big little devil dog that turns from a little 4-foot midget to the fucking size of a skyscraper. That whole fight, I just didn't care. Like, really, like, honestly, like, it was fun to watch, don't get me wrong, but, like, I just didn't care about anything that was happening. That whole fight scene, I'm not gonna lie to you, it felt like James Gunn was looking at Zack Snyder and was being like, yeah, this is how Superman should act when he's fighting, not punching people through buildings where people can die. Yeah, he should be saving people in the middle of these fights. And you can definitely argue, yeah, that's for character stuff, like it's showing how Superman's humanity, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, we already kind of know that at that point, so it didn't really do anything for me. And then the other scene I had an issue with Superman was when, and it was like, it was a good scene, like writing wise, mind you. It's Clark talking to Lois right before he's about to turn himself in, and you can see he's like kind of in a fugue state, I guess. Not like a fugue state, he's just kind of depressed because Lex took crypto and all the stuff with the world is going on, and it's like eating him up. And he obviously feels some type of way because his parents, well, he recently just found out his parents sent him there to enslave and kill humanity. And there's like some interdimensional thing outside the window that the Justice Gang, quote unquote, are fighting, and he's sitting there. And mind you, I actually don't think it's an issue that like he's sitting there talking to Lois and he's like depressed, which is why he's not helping out, and the Justice Gang is handling it for him. It makes sense in the moment why he's acting this way. However, it was just off-putting that like there looks like some big ass grand threat outside and he's just sitting there talking to Lois. I feel like they should have kind of made it seem like it wasn't something that was as big a deal. I don't know. It was just kind of off-putting, and I was just kind of sitting there and I felt uncomfortable. Like, I don't know why. I just felt uncomfortable watching that scene. Oh yeah, and I almost forgot to mention this is actually probably my biggest criticism, and I feel like this is actually Superman acting out of character. But it's at the end of the movie, after, you know, Superman beats everybody in the whole, like, you know, everybody gets to go home, blah, 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 blah. He takes Lois into a building, and it seems like nobody would be able to see them, or talk to them, or, you know, etc., expose them, etc., etc. But after he takes Lois up into the sky of that building, it cuts to a clip of Perry White, Jimmy Olsen, and some other girl, and he's sitting there like, so how long have they been doing that? Which implies that they can be seen in there, which is the worst implication that you could ever give, I feel like, for this. Because earlier in the movie, Lex Luthor killed somebody just because he saw him talking to Superman one time. Like, whoa, I didn't like that at all. I thought that was genuinely out of character. But getting back to Lex Luthor, my thing with Lex kind of draws back to one of my other issue, like the pacing stuff with this movie, like how just some scenes don't really add much to the writing, and it's kind of just like action-y plot progression stuff that I just found not the most engaging. But I honestly think they should have done more, like when it comes to talking about Lex and his like superiority complex, because we don't even actually, like, I went through the whole movie and I actually didn't like Lex as a villain until the ending, when, like, you know, we actually get to see where it's really coming from, why he hates Superman so much. Because throughout the movie, he's just kind of portrayed as this cartoonishly evil dude that's just kind of in it for the money, and he just wants to kill Superman for no reason. Obviously, as the movie goes along, we see why he's really in it, but I wanted to see more of why that element of why he's really in it. Like, I wish there was more scenes exploring that element of his character, because once it's revealed, it's just like, okay, thank you for giving the villain some depth. Okay, I like that, but like, it would have hit a lot harder throughout the rest of the movie if there was like a reason for this, and it wasn't just, oh, I want to kill Superman because I want to kill him, and I also want money. Like, honestly, I feel like even 2 scenes where Lex is talking about how inferior he feels to Superman, even like towards the beginning of the movie, I think would have been fine. Like, genuinely, it would have made the movie feel a lot better to watch for me. Some other things I had, like, I don't know, slight grievances with, and I don't even think it's really an issue. It's just kind of something that again, I think it kind of messes with the pacing, and it's the scenes with the Justice Gang. Most of the scenes with them are kind of just plot stuff, really. So I guess you could definitely make the argument as, oh, it's not pacing. This stuff is kind of necessary for the plot. But a lot of their scenes is just comedy stuff, which I enjoyed. Don't get me wrong. I think the comedy in this movie is really good. Mr. Terrific is my goat. I love that guy. He was super funny. He was like my favorite character in the movie. But I feel like I'm mostly thinking about it on rewatch. Like, on rewatch, after, like, the jokes are still gonna be funny, but I just wish there was more character meat in these scenes. It's very, a lot of the movie is plot. I can't lie. And that's fine, you know, some people may like that, some people may not. But me personally, I prefer character-driven stories. And there is great character stuff in this movie, but it is distracted by action scenes and a lot of plot progression and comedy aspects. I feel like I can look at James Gunn's other work, like the Guardians of the Galaxy movies and, you know, Suicide Squad 2021, I think it came out, even Peacemaker. And while there is comedy and plot progression stuff, a lot of those projects feel more like character-driven stories. You know, it feels like there's a lot of character moments happening throughout. One more thing I want to mention about this movie. Before it came out, I saw people saying, oh, the CGI looks bad, the color grading, da-da-da-da-da. I really don't think it looked bad. Like, it wasn't the greatest looking movie in the world or anything, but there's some really good shots, and generally I think the CGI looks really good. Like when Superman is fighting in the pocket dimension to save that guy's baby, and they're like at the black hole, like that was such a cool looking shot. And just like the river, I think they called it like the anti-proton matter river or some I don't remember what they called it, but like the whole pocket dimension thing, that stuff looked really cool. And yeah, overall I thought it was a really solid movie. I know I spent a lot of this video talking about the stuff that I didn't like, but when this movie does get into the meat of its characters, it really shines, and I think that is like really well done in this movie, which is why I'm saying it's more subjective. I think my issues with like how the movie is paced, because while the plot, it has an interesting plot going on, and the comedy aspects in the movie are also really like funny. I think that stuff is generally worse than the character stuff that they do, which is why I wanted more of that. But yeah, there is some animated stuff that I kind of prefer over this, like All-Star Superman, Batman and Superman Public Enemies, and Death of Superman. But I think this movie is a strong like 8.5 out of 10, 8 out of 10. Let me know what you guys thought of it, and yeah, thank you for watching.